Well, today is the final day of the yearly World Economic Forum in Davos. Some of the biggest leaders in politics and business gathered for the 5-day event to address global economic, social, and political issues. So joining us now with a recap of the biggest headlines of the event is the Atlantic CEO, Nick Thompson. Hey, Nick, good to see you.
Great to see you.
One of the big topics, no surprise, has been generative artificial intelligence. Every area of industry and life is trying to determine whether this is going to help us or take over in 50 years. You moderated a panel on artificial intelligence with some of the leaders in the industry. What were your biggest takeaways from that?
Well, I actually moderated 8 panels, which is an indication of just how focused on AI the event was. My main takeaway is that we are now starting to understand this technology a lot better. There is a lot less apocalyptic talk, but there's also a lot less naive talk. Everybody recognizes that the industries are going to be changed. They're going to be changed reasonably rapidly. This thing is real, but there's not as much concern that we're all going to be turned into paper clips as there has been maybe 1 year ago.
It certainly seemed to me like many of the concerns that we have had about, say, the internet or data in general has now kind of resurfaced, but just add on AI, you know, whether it has to do with security, whether it has to do with the way our data is being used or could be used in the future, how our personal information is being monetized or our creativity. All of that stuff seems to be coming all the way back up again, but just add on AI.
No, that's absolutely correct. If you look at the biggest technological concerns of the last 5 years, the last 10 years, they map reasonably well onto where we are at AI, right? There's concern about consolidation of power. We certainly see that with a small number of AI companies accumulating a lot of power. There's a lot of concern about cybersecurity. One of the real risks of AI, and in general, I think AI will be a huge net positive for society, but there is a real risk of hacking, real data concerns. And then, just as you mentioned, there is a real sense with the social media companies that our data was monetized without return. And there's that exact same concern, which is leading to a lot of legal fights. If you're looking for an industry that's going to make a lot of money from AI this year, it's definitely the law profession.
That's hilarious, but you make a great point. AI CEO Sam Altman definitely made a lot of headlines before the forum. What were some of his the points that he was discussing? Because he is really what has made generative AI a household phrase.
Yeah, you know, I think each Davos, there's one central character, one person who everybody gravitates around. You know, last year kind of felt like everybody was talking about Zelensky. It was Trump 4 years ago. And this year it was definitely Sam Altman. You saw him all the time on panels and dinners. And he was out there arguing that a little bit like what I said at the beginning, which is this is important. This is coming, but we're going to be able to work through it. There will be a lot of change that comes. There will be some industries that are turned upside down. There will be a lot of churn, and we can't predict it, but we're also going to be able to work it through. He was positive and optimistic, which is, of course, what you'd expect coming from the CEO of the leading AI company.
but of course. Listen, before I let you go, I want to ask you about something else. We've been talking about software. I want to talk a little bit more about hardware. Earlier, we had mentioned when we were covering Davos that there's a pretty large Chinese contingent there. There are rising geopolitical tensions over semiconductors or chips. China has been facing sanctions in relation to semiconductors from the U.S., but as I understand it, the semiconductor business is doing just fine in China. What sort of things were being discussed?
Well, there was a lot of discussion about that. I mean, the U.S. has passed laws that have made it much harder for Chinese companies to access high-end chips, particularly ones that are designed by NVIDIA in California and, with the lithography done by ASML in Europe. So there is a lot of pressure on the big Chinese tech companies. I spent a lot of time with an entrepreneur named Kai-Fu Lee, who has built a large language model that is the most successful Chinese large language model as measured by the leaderboards. What he did is he stockpiled high-end chips before the sanctions went into effect and then trained his model using them. And now what's happening in China is that Huawei, Chinese company, is responding to the demand. And the big question is whether the Chinese companies, particularly Huawei, will be able to compete with all of those Western companies and with TSMC, the Taiwanese semiconductor company, whether the U.S. sanctions will build up the Chinese chip industry or whether it will take a long time for China to catch up and the West will still have a lead. It is a fascinating and hugely important topic. And of course, the other issue is that the United States is trying to build up its own semiconductor capabilities in the event that there is conflict in Taiwan and the U.S. loses access to TSMC, which is the most important chip manufacturer in the world. So I had a lot of discussions about that in Davos.
Yeah, that's actually really fascinating, Nick. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Anne-Marie.